Hey, what's going on, you tribulous? EXO coming at you here, feeling so much better. I hope you've been doing pretty well yourself, man. I've just needed a little bit of time to collect my sanity and keep pushing forward. At the new EXO headquarters, take a look around, man. Fresh new paint and carpet in the home office. I am ready to start posting videos again. So thank you guys for being here, sticking around, man. It has been just a wild ride, one thing after another, and I just needed to slowly take my time and just focus one thing at a time. And now here we are. We have fulfilled so much, achieved so much, so I can at least start making videos again. So here we are. Let's go ahead and talk about what has happened in the meantime to get us to this point and why it has been such a cluster. So as you probably know, last time we left off in a bit of a pickle. The front yard was freaking collapsing down from a busted up septic tank. You could smell it, you could see it. It was so much stress and I didn't want to have to deal with it. So, you know, with car audio on the back of my mind, just wanting to get there and freaking play with subs and speakers, I just called the professionals, had some septic guys come down with a big old excavator, and there they were, smashing apart the old tank and just left it in a big pile of concrete at the bottom, cleaned it all out, and then guess what? Put a nice thick layer of gravel down so the new tank, the plastic tank, which won't crack or freaking fracture, goes down nice and level and I just won't have to worry about it. And that's how it should have been from the beginning. This is a 2018 house and there I was just kind of hanging out with the guys, helping them fit some pipes inside the tank because I was the little guy. So like, hey man, you're small enough. I'm just so glad I didn't have to spend all that time freaking excavating it by hand myself. Could you imagine that? The hole was like 80 feet deep. I'm kidding. It was like actually 10 feet deep. Very surprising. So that was a job well done and I'm so happy about how that handled. The next big area that was like, was the crawl space. Same old story that it was before, man. I had to clean up the whole space myself with the old vapor barrier, the 6mm black plastic. You're trying to tell me that's a vapor barrier? Yeah, right. So I did a lot of work down there already, and I thought I was doing the right thing by going through the yellow pages and picking like the best of the best to come basically do it for me. Financing out the yin yang 2 years in advance, man. I was willing to drop some buku bucks on fixing this problem. The water, man, the mold. I didn't want to have to deal with every time my heat comes on, I'm smelling that smell of the crawl space, and then you get your floor joist rotting away, and then here you're on a trampoline in your own freaking office. The company ended up just not working out. The supervisor had to come. They had to look at all the things that were wrong. They were like, oh yeah, wow, that's not right. You know, telling me all this stuff, you know, I felt horrible about it. So you might be confused right now, but what I'm explaining right now is a job gone wrong. So I'm down in the crawl space, basically handling everything myself from here on out, chiseling away the walls, freaking making sure all the mortar joints are nice and clean. So when I put up the insulation, it's not all wobbly. Which you guys probably don't even care about all this, but in order to get the house really in top notch, the basement or the crawl space needs to at least not be rotting away, right? Everything just turned haywire. I'm not saying anything more than that though. Let's just say it was not good at all. So that leads us to the next stage of all this, which was addressing the problem of deliveries not making it to my house. I would get notifications that, oh, your Amazon package was delivered. And I'd be walking around like, well, where is it? And then 400 feet, 500 feet down my driveway, it's hanging up in a freaking pine tree. What the heck? So I was like, I chalked it up to a fluke. Once, twice, 3 times the lady. And I'm just like, all right, this is not a coincidence. They are not driving up this driveway for some reason. So I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, I understand. They couldn't turn around. Simple as that. So at the very top of the driveway, I installed a really nicely shaped turnaround. All I had to do was rent a skid steer and then I freaking devoured into that hillside, made it all nice and really well graded. And so I just filled it in, made some nice forms with some 4x4s that were recycled from the dog fence, and I made myself a beautiful gravel turnaround. So now all of our packages are being delivered to our porch, not hanging from a tree 500 feet from the house. And I wouldn't have been in true form if I didn't use that skid steer for everything. If I could have popped the bottle with it, I would have been there and then some. So I ended up getting a bunch of fill dirt and fixing the driveway the whole way down. Remember when it was poured, you know, the forms left these big ledges, so if you went off, you're stuck burning rubber trying to get back on? Not anymore, baby. It's so dang beautiful. I was on that thing like a professional, freaking dropping loads, leveling it out, planting grass, laying hay, and I'm actually really surprised. It's been about 4 or 5 weeks and the grass is already there. I was anticipating a spring surprise, but nope, it's already popping through and it's like 3 or 4 inches long. I'm so proud of that little freaking grass. Oh, it's beautiful. And speaking of all that new beauty, I'm super glad it worked out that way, because before I wouldn't have had any of that. Remember, I was just gonna use the existing ledges as little fill places for the drainage rock? Nah, the extra mile made the drive up to the driveway pop a million times more, so I ended up reusing that big pile of rock for something else. You remember the barn up at the top of the hill? It was about yay high off the ground. I needed something to make up the difference, and a ramp did just the trick. I had some extra recycled concrete bust-ins from all the dog fence posts, and then puts a nice layer of the big rock as a substituent base, and then a topical spread of the smaller stuff to interlock it all together. And it did just the trick. Really beautiful, and it fits the theme of the house, I think. So you're probably sitting there thinking to yourself, man, that sure is a lot of work on the outside. I hope the inside isn't that bad. And to be honest, it really wasn't too bad. There were just a few areas that really needed to be addressed immediately, starting with the electrical. Holy smoke. Especially at the downstream most outlets, I was getting just an unacceptable amount of voltage drop. Freaking sagging my lights, making my fans oscillate in weird patterns. So just swapping those out, light switches and outlets, I was able to gain 6 volts at my most downstream outlet. And as you know, it speaks for itself, the carpet and the walls and the trim was also kind of shoddy. You know, look at that beautiful trim. That's brand new, still needs to be caulked and painted here and there, but you know, that was 2 inches before. Now we got 3 1/4, nice fully depthed out, and the carpets are nice and plush. We're starting to slowly emerge from our boxes, no pun intended, and I'm feeling great about it. So with things slowly starting to settle down and a lot of this, you know, work having an end in sight, I was able to gain a new perspective on a lot of this stressful crap. Because when you're in the moment, you allow life to kind of beat you down. And sometimes it can be an unhealthy thing where you're your own worst enemy, where you should be rooting for yourself. And that has been a really healthy change for me. It was not overnight. In fact, I found myself a lot of the time like breaking down mentally, wanting to delete my accounts, delete Facebook or delete all these different things because you don't want to have to deal with the stresses or what you perceive as stresses that come from them. And I was always afraid of doing this or doing that. I'm afraid to tell people about this. I'm afraid to post this video for fear that they blah, 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 blah. It's this internal unhealthy mantra that I kind of had to battle with a little bit, but it's good to kind of remember what you got. And that's what I've been trying to remember as important. There's only a couple things that are actually important in this world. You know, car audio is definitely one of them for me, but getting in this house took priority over anything. This is the first time in my life really that ever really happened where I had to set things aside. Here in the next couple videos, we are going to resume out in the garage, building the workshop. I would love to have you guys' feedback on the types of things that are necessary in a garage because I've never had like a cleanup system. You know how like tools have vacuums and stuff and have tubes that come out of them? I don't know how to plan for that, so I would love to have you guys as kind of a coach. Car audio is coming back in full swing. I'm in my office right now. That's already a huge hump. Expect to see some more demo videos. I'd like to be coming at you with some weekly content like that with awesome systems that I encounter firsthand. It's selfish of me to have them on a hard drive. I gotta get that stuff out to you. This freaking 4K lens is no joke. Be ready, YouTube. Be ready, Patreon. Be ready at Showtime. Thank you guys for shopping at Showtime. We got the hat, we got more swag, we got Crescendo Audio on the roster. So yeah, be on the lookout. Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you in the next video. I got more to say next time. I was just trying to scratch the surface here. I'll talk to you then. I went around there, it was so beautiful. Oh!